It was built in 1910 by Monroe Bowers Pink Morton, who was an African-American gentleman. It is the oldest surviving vaudeville theater built, owned, and operated by an African-American gentleman in the United States. It started out as the Morton Building because it also housed the offices for the first African-American female dentist in the state of Georgia, the first African-American female licensed to practice medicine in the state of Georgia, and the first African-American pharmacy in the city of Athens, Georgia. Atlanta Life Insurance Company also had their offices, their satellite offices here. This was the center of black businesses in the early 1900s. It sits on what is called the Hot Corner, and along with the now destroyed Samaritan Building, we anchored the Hot Corner. Part of the reason this was called the Hot Corner is because this is where all the action happened. This was where you came to see the good shows. It was built by an African American, but it was not really a segregated theater, and everybody was welcome here. Famous greats that we have deduced played the Morton Theater: Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway, Ma Rainey, Blind Willie McTell. This was a happening place to be. I've heard stories that we have windows on the sides of the building, and in the summer when the Louis Armstrong was playing on the stage and it's hot in here, you raise the windows and the music wafted out onto the street. This was the happening corner. It started out as the vaudeville theater, and then in the 30s it became a movie theater. Pink Morton died in 1919, I believe, and his son assumed ownership of the theater, and he converted it to a movie theater in the 1930s. And in the 40s and 50s, there was a fire in the projection booth, and when the fire marshal came in, he realized that there was only one entrance and one exit. And back then, the theater sat 600 to 700 people, and getting 600 to 700 people out of here through one exit is a fire hazard. So the family had the option of actually shutting down the theater or putting in fire exits. We could surmise that it was cheaper to shut down the theater itself and leave the rest of the building open because other businesses still had their offices. So in the 50s, the theater shut down and it fell into disarray. The roof fell in. There was no programming going on in the theater. The family sold it to the Bond Property Company from Florida in the 70s, and they really did nothing with it after that, and it still fell into more disrepair. It became the largest pigeon roost in Athens, Georgia, and it became a place for musicians to squat and hang out and rehearse. REM, one of their videos, the video for The One I Love, part of it was actually filmed in here in the 80s, but that was after the Morton Theatre Corporation came about and started the push to save the Morton Theatre and raise $63,000. And they were able to purchase the building from the bond property companies and save it from becoming a parking deck. There's still a lot of evidence of the history that exists in this building. For example, the graffiti behind the fly system on the wall where Chaz Fats Hayden penned his autograph on the wall in 1933. And we also have one of the panels from the original dressing rooms, which were located above the stage, where the fines for smoking are clearly marked. The first time it was $1, second time $2, third time $3, fourth time you were gone. The floors are the actual original, as best we can tell, the floors are the original floors from the early 1900s when the theater was built. The tin ceiling is from the renovation that happened in 1914. The chairs are from, though not original to the theater, they're original to the time period. We refer to ourselves as Athens' historic showplace. We are the oldest surviving vaudeville theater in the United States that was built, owned, and operated by an African American, and I believe one of only two that still exist in the state of Georgia. We serve to enhance the quality of life in Athens, and we serve to bring tourism to Athens. You don't find a building of this stature in just any city that you run into.